Hi, I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, with another session of Ask Dave with our Ask Dave editor Trevor Ullman here. We have a shirt for him finally, part of the OG team. That's right. Okay, so let's just dive into the questions. If you have a question that you would like to answer or a suggestion to make, just go to hamradioanswers, all one word, at gmail.com. That's hamradioanswers@gmail.com. And that question will go over here to our Ask Dave supervisor, and Trevor will sort them out and put them in a group to be answered. So what do we have today?
All right, so Matt, call sign KV3PSN, has a question about the transmitted tone on his QCX transceiver.
So he says that the tone is really bad sounding on a monitoring receiver. There's a couple things going on here. First of all, the QCX does start with a square wave, which it smooths into a sine wave, so it's possible you're hearing some of that. I think your radio is being very much overloaded by the QCX signal. Try transmitting into a dummy load. I have a feeling if you have a friend listen to it from a ham shack a little ways away, you'd probably end up with better results. If not, look at the bandpass filter that is in the output circuits near the three final Class C amplifiers that should make that a little bit better. If those are all soldered in properly.
All right. Adrian, call sign EI9HAB, has a question about RF on an MFJ 17085DR.
Okay. EI, it's Ireland. Okay. This was a very recent video on MFJ 1708 SDR. I just bought this unit and I'm seeing RF all over the spectrum when tuning up. What you're seeing is an overload of the front end. I got the same kind of thing when I did the video. I went and looked at your video, and I believe that it is front end overload of the receiver. Another thing that can happen is if you have any nearby metal connection, like in your gutter, two pieces that aren't really solidly tied together, two pieces of metal, can act as a diode, and that's a nonlinear device, and it can create all sorts of intermod type things. You might be seeing a little of that, but if it works fine on receive, and if the transmit signal is not too strong to the point where it's causing problems with your SDR, you should be in good shape. I wouldn't worry about all those extra lines there. It's just front end overload.
All right, Bob has a question about the CAT control on FTDX3000.
A CAT is computer automated transceiver on the Yaesu radios. The FTDX3000 is the same radio that I have. He has been unable, in spite of a lot of frustration on his part, to get the silly thing to transmit. And there is in the WSJTX software program a test transmit button that you can turn on and see if you can figure out what the settings are that should make the thing transmit. Make sure that your audio frequency gain is turned up. That's the mic gain. Make sure the mic gain is turned up. Make sure that the power out is turned up. Otherwise, just keep checking and rechecking those settings. You may have to do it, or you can try it with your Vox, a voice-operated relay. If the Vox is on, that may be able to force the thing into transmit. It's frustrating, I know. Getting digital set up the first time, there are many, many ducts, and they all have to be in a row. And it can be very frustrating if one of those ducts is facing the wrong way. Once you get it squared away, it'll stay squared away, presumably. Another thing you can do is try reinstalling that driver but it sounds like it's working on a whole bunch of other things, so it should work on this. Keep at it. The key word is persevere.
All right, Timothy, call sign KC3ANX, has a question about programming his Zastone D9000 radio.
Okay. This is a radio by Zastone, and he still can't program it. There are two sources for programming of radios. One is the manufacturer's website, and the other is the Chirp or RT Systems. RT Systems is software that costs money. You can ask if they'll do that particular radio. Chirp is free, and it's chirp.danplanet.com. If the software is on the website, you would find it the same way I would, which is checking the website. Go up to where it says support, and often there's a submenu that opens when you say support, and one of them is software, and it can get you the software for that.
All right, Mike, call sign KK4MC, has a question about the channel names display on his TYT UV8000E.
Well, the easiest way to get the channel names in is to put them in the programming software. Go into the programming software, put the channel names in there, and upload it from there. The other way to do it, which is the direct way, there must be an enter character somewhere that tells it, okay, I'm actually done. It's not just there, but I'm done with it. You should be able to go from one memory to another and have the thing stay in there. I can understand the frustration. I would recommend doing it through the software.
Okay, Wasim, call sign WN6WJN, has a question about the factory reset on the TYT UV8000E.
My website is corrupted. And you can see this weird character there. Originally I had something in there, and somehow some of my web pages have been somewhat corrupted. I looked on the website at what you're talking about and have to agree it is corrupted. So what I would suggest you do is the same thing that I would do, which would be to read the manual very, very carefully and see what you had to do for that. You can also look up on the website, which is, I'm assuming, how you found my page, and see what other pages have to say on that. I'm sorry about the frustration, and I'm frustrated myself. I've had a lot of trouble with that website recently, and the ISP has been good about it, but is not, everything is not quite copacetic. I'm still working on that.
Alex, call sign W2YIL, has a question about the Baofeng RD5R readout. Okay,
he is looking for, recently purchased the radios, having trouble with the readout. Programmed about 10 channels into the memory, but when I try to look at them, all I can see is the first 4 channels. I have had a similar problem. You program it in and you only see, you don't see all of them. What I have done to make this work on the occasions that I've been able to make it work is to just keep persevering, you know, resetting the radio, uploading the programming into the memories from the computer and so on, and keep trying that. Talk to other people who have the radios. Maybe one of our viewers has a solution for that one, because I've run into the same problem.
Barrett, call sign W0ASB, is wondering about a code plug for his Ilance DMR handheld.
Yeah, there's a problem. One of the advantages of the early DMR systems was that they all used Motorola radios. And in a city or so, it was worth it for somebody to develop a code plug that everybody could use. Well, now with the proliferation of radios, they don't take the same code plugs. They have to be unit specific. And so that means finding someone else who has put an iLunts DMR code plug together in the Colorado Springs area. He's asking what my code plug looks like. My code plug looks like the Grand Junction repeater and my local hotspot, and that's it. That's all I've got. This is not a hotbed of DMR operation. At least we do have the one repeater. I've got a 10-element beam, 70-centimeter beam pointed at that repeater, and that seems to get me in. Sorry about the code plug. It's a problem if people don't settle on one particular radio that everybody gets so that they can share a code plug. And the way that the radios are proliferating, and each of the new one has some new key toy in it that everybody has to have, it's an issue. Thank you very much for coming in and with all the questions. And we'll wrap this session up. I remind you to take a look at the support page, dcasler.com/support, and that's where you'll find the tip jar, you'll find Patreon, some cool links on Amazon to things that you might want for which I get a finder's fee. Doesn't affect your cost at all. And just generally how you can support the website and make this a viewer-supported website. Thank you so much for being with us today, and 73.